Welcome back. I just thought I'd real quickly start with this post that I was talking about last time, which is from this place. Cool. But I noticed this, and I pointed it out in response. Here's my response, and I said, the nodular nature. No, maybe I didn't. I thought I referenced it. I guess not. But I wanted to bring to mind this. Here's Chatham Island in New Zealand, which is said to be a flood basalt. Here is splatter rock, it's called, I believe. It looks like a splatter. So if we go to YouTube, splatter rock. This is the video that I saw it from. I believe that's it right there. So it looks kind of similar here, like here for instance, but it's not, and here, but it's not as pronounced as this one, which just really looks like a splattering. That was just like a stream was coming in, and then it built up and layered on top in like a fingering, flowering, branching type of way that then produced this. So I noticed this here kind of reminded me of it, the way that these cracks are. This here, I mean, maybe it's not quite the same per se, but it does kind of remind me of the spokes, I guess, branching off. Maybe, I don't know if it's quite happening the same, but it gives me the same vibe, this structure. I just thought I'd point that out. Okay, that's all I had to say about that. Now let's go through some videos. I was watching last night. I started watching a video by Wandering Wolf, who's talking about Sage Wall and exploring it, which is here. Wandering Wolf. This is his videos. I watched several. He's got several. But like, I can see why people would say this looks like a man-made wall. And maybe they're right. I'm still contemplating the potential of like some kind of membrane formed between two layers that, like, when the earth was expanding and the earth was flooded in the region, maybe there was like two flooding directions of water that especially met here. I don't know if that's a thing, and then literally created channels in a way that it formed granite sides. I don't know. There's a good angle. This is in Montana, by the way, so maybe we can pause. Earth.gov. Google and deaths. Oh yeah, that reminds me of this. I was looking at this earlier. Like the person talking about it was saying he can't find any information on it. I agree. I looked around. I couldn't really find anything, like images of what is going on. I mean, it looks pretty like it's a solar evaporator for salt collection from the lake that used to be around Mexico City here. Like, Mexico City was an island in the middle of the lake, I guess, is what it sounded like. And now they're harvesting salt from here, so it's probably legitimately man-made recently. It is kind of odd that there's no, like, that looks too much like roads or some kind of thing of that nature to not just be. It's very odd. But anyway, unrelated to this, unless it's actually ancient. What drew my attention to this was some pretty interesting stuff. So, and I was trying to find the lake that I saw an image of. Whoa, that's interesting. What the? Whoa. So anyway, let's see. He's got several videos. Oh, Sage Wall. Let's go to this one. So, like, real straight, real 90 degrees, real 90 degrees, 90 degrees. And he went around, I think he wandered around looking for anything, and which is cool, like, that it's documented, like, the process. It's very useful, I would say. See, the even if it's already been inspected, to see someone else inspect it from anew, so that it's almost like this is how I came up here. So this is also on Montana Megaliths, which is Julie Ryder, her work. And here's the discoverer of the Bosnian pyramids, Samir Osmanagish. Pardon me. But they're talking about all sorts of things. I'm trying to find really extensive footage of this. Like, tend to be a lot of capstones, but like a capstone, I think about it like this. This is my thoughts. Water is flowing, right? And there's some kind of structure that rests, like, that's more solid, like this upper, like the capstone, and it's just sitting there, and water's flowing, and maybe it pushes down on what's below it to hold it in place more. So maybe that there's capstones isn't an inherent indication that this is man-made or whatever made, Cyclops made, who knows. Demigod made, I don't know. Which gives me, it really made me, this site made me think of just like ammonites and fossils, how one is real, one is not real. Like one is a fossil because it actually was a living creature. The other just looks like a fossil. It's a look-alike, but it's a geological process. And maybe in the same way, there are like distinct megaliths, like the pyramids, that are distinctly man-made, but then there's ones that are like, I don't know, it's hard to tell because geology did it, and maybe that shines light onto how they did it. If there are sites that like resemble like Yanagumi, I believe it's called Yanaguni. This place, like it's highly debated, and I can see both perspectives of whether or not it's actually man-made. I know it very much looks man-made, but there's geologists who are like, this could happen naturally, and if you look over here, these are not, like we can see these above the water are not man-made, but they have a lot of the same features indicating that maybe this is not, there's not doors and this is not real. uh, but all sorts of things here at this one that are like debatable, but I would say maybe they are man-made, but like man-made by man influencing the local geology and having it make it. So maybe like there are instances like the like here where like a membrane. That's really what I think of as a membrane, like an actual membrane between cells, like or of a cell, I guess, like a something of that nature that has porosity. It has like slits for current to pass between, but it's a separator that really prevents flow also. So like maybe that's the kind of thought I had, and there's a lot of features here like nicks and things that maybe would be argued to be man-made, but again with like shallograms, like shallograms just show they don't, it doesn't have to, just because, let me find one with like a good straight line in it, like for instance here, these things, like if we find these, he finds similar structures like this in the rock, which maybe are man-made, but maybe are current flows like pushing in and creating a nook that then etches out the nook. And it isn't man-made, but looks a lot like it. I've been considering that angle. This is what I wanted to talk about, is a bunch of megaliths I've been looking at and get into. I'm 13 minutes in. I'm just explaining why I'm even recording. 14 minutes. Okay. Thanks for the intro, guys. Thanks for waiting through the intro. We're just checking out some megaliths I've been watching, spam watching videos on. Ever since this one, then it led me down a chain of other ones that it's somewhere maybe even just popped up in my recommended or whatever once I started watching these. So there was this one, which has, let me see if I can find, like, like this is incredible. It really is incredible. And then this slant here, although maybe membrane, I don't know. The reason I say that is because as we go forward, there's places that look a lot like this but look natural. They're like Uh, why would they do that? They just built this mound of the mountain. Like there's no structure there for like, unless they're just going on top of it. Like we're not going in it. They're not going along it or something where it's like a boundary. It's like a peak for something. Like they build a peak. It doesn't really make sense. And then the peak that they would have built doesn't really look like this. It's more like it merges into a much larger unit of the mountain itself. So it's like, what's going on here? I don't know. Let's see. What else we got? Maybe here. This is another capstone. What's it called? Dalum or something? This one's real interesting. Because of the front side. Also this. Here, these nubs. Shallograms don't have nubs. I don't know what to make of them. Those to me are more stronger suggestions of man-made. I don't know why they do it. Like that reminds me. This post by Plastolithic Past on Twitter. Niche milling. So this is in Peru, and we see a nice shape here. Nice shape. Also this. And then he goes on and says, what about this? And notices this. Like, it's almost like they were gonna cut here to make it, and then he goes on and shows, like, it really looks like they were gonna cut here and make it even. This is even here. Like, it looks like there were. I can get behind this. This does look like pretty much a continuation across and up here also. And they just didn't get to that, but they, like, indicated it. So it looks like that, and then over here it looks like little scrape marks, and then there's some nubs down here. This one, I'm going to talk about what I think and what I was thinking in a second. Again here, although I don't necessarily, maybe I should be a little bit reading what they're explaining. It's basically suggesting that they're unfinished, and probably some other stuff that I'm not gonna adequately detail, but you can see it, I'm sure. Then he points out this side is smooth, this side is rough, therefore that this is finished, this is unfinished. They will do this, but it's didn't get done over here. They already did it here though. So that to me, maybe, like, I can see why, and if that were to be the case, I could see why. I wouldn't like be surprised per se, but I wouldn't want to like conclude it too quickly that it's unequivocally like the entire thing that occurred. Like it may be, I suppose. Like there's a purpose to the surface roughness, and in some places they purposely put a surface roughness, and in other places they purposely didn't. What would the purpose be? I don't know exactly, but we will talk about some reasons I might feel like there could be more purpose. So like here's windows, but then this window is blocked off, and I commented into the thread at the end of the thread somewhere. I was like, this reminds me a lot of the periodic table of currents things going on here, where there's a chamber that a current goes into pushes mounds into being, which then become neutrons and then creates like spaces for current to flow. Protons, current flowing, which is electrons, and then a shell that contains all of it, which is the atom itself. So maybe there's some kind of purpose to this. Like I was thinking, like maybe of that first image. Let's go back. Or, this one. How this is. Maybe like these channels, these grooves are like intended as channels. Like right here, this is a channel that purposely doesn't go to this corner so that it goes this way. Some kind of energy flow is suggestive, like encouraged that way. I don't know. And like here, whatever the energy that like could be contained in here can flow this way, but not until it like fills a certain point, so it doesn't go like straight across. I don't know if there's some kind of thing of that nature going on. Like, why would they do this? It doesn't really make sense. I mean, like, yes, maybe from like a Lego standpoint, but like they don't do Lego standpoint all over the place. Like, sure, they do it here. Maybe that. Like here. Like, that's odd. And then it has this. Maybe it is pretty Lego-y. I don't know. I just would like to continue to consider the potentials for basically my thought is like they're trying their purpose, that they're not trying, they're doing. They were at least designed to potentially like concentrate energy to then provide like purpose and utility to the wall beyond just being a wall. Like the wall is a wall, but like we don't build walls to emit energy to then like heal us or something. I don't know. Maybe something of that nature is going on with this type of like purposeful intention of the design with things of this nature, where there's like proton, 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 neutron. I don't know. Something of that nature, or inlet, 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 where like the entire room here is also like a fractal. Like this is a proton, just a proton, proton, like within itself contained. But then it's a channel into another proton that's another different, on a different dimension. Basically, it's not here anymore, it's over this way, where it's like on the ground versus elevated, like perpendicular to the ground. So maybe there's something of that nature. Also, these angles, that's the kind of thing I was thinking about. So when I see these nubs, I think of maybe the potential that they're like terminals with some purpose. Here's those indentations. They kind of look like shallograms too, honestly. Like they're like a little elongated, less like smaller and a little larger and elongated. It reminds me of shallograms. And I'm not saying it's like a shallogram thing. I'm just saying like currents doing what currents do, maybe. Let me find it. The ones that are like little. Real little ones that I might have passed already. Like maybe this. This might have something more of that nature. Kind of like that. But like not through all the way. It doesn't always do that. Sometimes it literally just does, like begins it It doesn't get through connected. I don't know. That's probably a good example. I don't know. I'm just... Oh my god. Please. Please. Oh, so many tabs. Best I can find on just kind of looking around. So it's possible. My point is, it's possible that something like that is natural, especially given that there were heavy currents flowing in the region. But like the wall, this is a little like less possible, I would say. Like if anything, it would be an indentation, not a like remnant, I would expect. But maybe like nodes can form like chakra points on the rock that like energy spikes out of, and it like creates nodes that are like stable, while this current flow just can't like remove the nodes. I don't know. It doesn't. It's not as like likely though as that this is maybe just man-made, because I don't, unless I just haven't seen rocks do that really. Like that, like if this is smooth, it doesn't just have like a little boop. It's a little boop. Let's check out some other images. I guess whatever. Start here. I don't know. They're all polished. This one's incredible with its boundary. And then you can just see like straight line, straight line. This is probably good to even look at right now. We can see a straight line, a straight line, a straight line that goes, interestingly, through the ammonite, probably feed this line, probably feeding into this. Maybe going out this way, then, and then rotating in off of it, like turning off of it, but then running into this current's resistance, so turning around and cycling in. Which of these look a lot like Damn It Arcooned. How it has this, here, here, So like a bunch of cross sections because a current almost like swelled through until it just burst through the layers, literally, like seams of the layers, and dissected them at weak points to actually leave broken boundaries here in this structure that then physically the overall shape is like a shallogram, but having parallel-ish, and this one's a little like that way. So again, when like this again here, oh no, this is still not a good angle. Or here, like that could be on a shallogram. That could be on a shallogram. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't be like some human nicked this shallogram up and marked it up. I'd be like, that's part of the shallogram. So I would say inconclusive here. I mean, obviously the evidence together is more persuasive, but at the same time, shallograms are not fossils. So it doesn't matter how much it looks like it. If we really inspect it, there will be anomalies that just cannot be produced by the process. In the case of shallograms, by fossilization, and then in the case of megaliths, like a weird, like mountainous relationship of it flowing in and out of like looking this way. Sometimes it looks like this, other times it looks natural. Like it flows in and out like Yanagumi. Like this could be natural here. This could be natural. It's got those nubs, so it kind of looks more like it's not, but at the same time, it could be natural. Those nubs, maybe not so much. I don't know what to make of those nubs. I'm not saying that this place is natural because I lean towards it's not, but I don't know what to make of it. It makes me think that there were geological processes used to make it, like the same things in some way. That might be not true though. I just said that kind of. Let's check out maybe the drone footage one. I think that's the one we already looked at though. It's just not, like, it really does look like a wall, but there are straight structures that form in geology and on the earth, like Mount Gurnar. Like, it's probably a good thing to look at. Like, it's very good to just be aware that Mount Gurnar exists, because it literally is a hexagon with a inner hexagon. There's so much to Mount Gurnar that an outer hexagon of basalt with a ring of granophyre with an inner hexagon of olivine gabbro with alluvium water deposited materials here, and then a center like triangular type shape of diorite monzonite of the peak, and forming generally by current swelling in by the Deccan Traps process that then swirled on other reasons. This is one of the peaks. So it's possible for things to form geologically that have straight lines. And then another thing is this video, or not this video, Julie Ryder, pointed out granite does not form at 90-degree angles naturally like this. And I'm like, under normal conditions, what about in a flood? Under high enough pressure and currents, those angles can straighten. Have you seen this? Let me show you. Let me show you the Western Pacific, South Pacific, Western Pacific. Let me just go through here while that was loading. Where currents flowed in a basically a figure-8 magnetic field type structure here that were flowing this way and just kept getting fueled and swirling at the boundary of this current basically. But then it produced so much energy that it literally exhausted through this current a direct straight line across it, even though normally it wouldn't do that. But in this instance, it goes straight across, no fucks, I don't care, straight across. And then even at instances where it meets resistance, it branches off sideways and then goes straight across again. It branches off straight across, branches off straight across, and does this like not normal thing. This is not found everywhere, but it's found in places like here, north of Fiji. We can't really tell it's going on. Like if we look north of Fiji, we don't see this beam. I don't think this is the beam here. We don't see this beam. It's just in the magnetic anomaly data visible, but it's going like, maybe it's here. Actually, that might be it. I believe it points here, so this might be it here. So maybe we can see it a little bit. Let's see. 177.7, 2.75. Is it west? I think it's west too. Maybe it's this one right here. Let's see. It's fine. This one is... Let's just find 0 degrees. That'll make it easy. 0, 1 to 72 point. 0.35, I think. 170. Whoa. It's around there. Not far from that. Certainly not far from it. Maybe it's like just adjacent over here. Like just to the side, maybe. And like these are little swirls that like it went forward, and then the current that collided with it going this way took little chunks and created eddy, and made all these little islands along just past it. So it actually went up this way. Up like here. I believe it ends up going to here. Exactly to here. Like on this map, if we follow this, it like goes right to here. The nose of the dragon. So again, it's possible. It's possible. It's crazy as it is. But maybe as cool as it is, maybe it's like a doorway that was meant to be like there to be like that. Like I know that looks like it's man-made, and maybe it is. But wouldn't it be crazy if it was made by something like this? Like a current flowing through some channel that then branches off at times. I don't think that makes sense necessarily, but maybe. Maybe even a current flowing through here that then, I guess that doesn't make sense, but it's a little small, honestly, to be, like a geological process of the Earth expansion. Like it almost pushes it towards that it is man-made by the relative proximity of it all to the small region. Like I don't think this is all over the place in the region. It's like on a mountain. Here we go, some other nearby mountain rocks that don't... It almost would be beneficial to know how old these rocks are, dated geologically, what they date to. Like maybe there's just enough pressure just holding it in place and flowing along it. Kind of like here, like there's pressure holding these, like this region compacted so that when this current flows through, it flows through and doesn't like spread out. So maybe there was enough pressure to hold the rocks in place so that the rocks don't move, like, and create space so that the current has to flow down like a channel. And then it flows down channels like underneath the bottom and above the top with like a membrane type of appearance again. This kind of thing, being like drilled in by currents. Although I've seen this, I fully agree with what he's saying. Like it probably is. And what people have said, this is probably man-made. And wow, does it need some research, dudes. Either way, it needs to be like confirmed one way or the other, because it's demanding research. Look at these trees. If you watch these videos, it's incredible. Imagine Giza pyramids having just like trees laying literally everywhere where you have to walk over this. Here's some rock. Like, whoa. My thoughts are like, wow, that's like asking to be taken, broken down into like smaller components, turned into some kind of like structures. And people working in the region to like figure almost, I mean, and it's privately owned. That's the thing, although like if the world knows about it, it's going to be a little more pressure for them to like share and talk about it and then allow people in, and who knows what then, that's even if it's privately owned, it's kind of it also raises those kinds of things, like when the government has like stolen enough things, then they own it. Then it's more like in the general public's access, which is like a interesting thing. Although this is also within the government's like system of way of being that it suggests to the world. So, and mandates to individuals here as much as they can to like have private property and not see everything as all of ours, and like we're all stewards of the one world and one people kind of view of things. Like all it takes is some people not understanding that, and then we go back to this, and that's probably what was going on with like Native Americans. They were more connected to that oneness, and then they also started to decay in consciousness, probably like lost awareness to the true nature of reality to a degree, where they began to fight. And then that was when white man came, and like time for America, because that's how like the flows of energies are, I guess. I don't know, it's pretty fucking, I say that while looking over across the world at that one place that's trying to just impose itself into existence. Although that's a little different. So this is in Montana, right? This is in Siberia. So this is from Olaf the Sverker. Sverker. I don't know. I don't know what Sverker means. Let's see what Sverker means. Maybe that's his name. Maybe that's his whole name. Thesverker? Maybe. I was thinking the Sverker. Pardon me, sir. But this right here, let's get on to what he's showing. Very similar over here, like generally speaking, similar kind of thing, but more like more man-made, or more like geologically looking, maybe because it's scattered. Like over here, we see a structure that looks like it has some kind of window or door, maybe, and then the rest of it maybe it was just knocked down and is just debris piles. But this is incredible. I mean, that's proof positive. Proof positive that man was here. And he points out that the Siberian region is believed to have not been inhabited until like 1700 or something like that. So like when there's stuff like this in Siberia, it's pretty anomalous. Like here, an obelisk. I mean, if that's not an obelisk, as he says, I think something like that along those lines. I don't know what is. I mean, it does look like an obelisk. I'll give him that. This one, like, could be geological and cool. Another like huge wall structure. This one looks much more like it's could be either, although it's very odd. I don't know if there's any angles of it. I guess it's just like a sliver. Maybe, I mean, this one reminds me of the Dragon Eye, which actually gives another point in favor of natural. If we go to Dragon Eye, White Pocket, this is natural. This whole region is natural that has like this. Structure, but natural structure. And if we look at like this kind of like this is like a membrane. And then underneath the membrane is exposed like smooth layers, but over here is just like a membrane. So it's possible that that is of the same nature. And then again here, same thing. And then we see this really long wall type structure, but it does bend. And it also notably is on the top of a hill. This is a major reason I lean towards, like, we must consider that this might be geological. Is that it's on terrain that was influenced after the earth expanded. While the earth expanded. And so it's probably wasn't even like this at the time. The terrain, like the hills, weren't like this, so it wouldn't have been built in the same structure. And that's another thing that, like, in this video or one of their videos, he's in 2 videos with her, at least. But she says, or he said, he's talking about the angle relative to north, south, east, west, like the solstices, blah, 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 you know, those kinds of things that are commonly referred to with regard to like megalithic ancient structures. But the thing is the earth expanded and it wasn't even angled at the angles that it is now, and so it's hard to say without adjusting for the earth expansion process and then be like, oh, that's how the poles were then, that's how the solstices were, that's how the earth was. And then that's where, like, then we can align. We can't, like, align it with our current interpretations of solstices because it's under the assumption that plate tectonics is true and that the earth truly was, at the time of these ancient cultures, as we see it today, relatively speaking, plus or minus some water level. No, it literally was a smaller globe with all the continents conjoined, and then it expanded to a new radius. And so in the process, which happened, by the way, by the Earth being attacked by a vortex weapon that punctured the mantle here, if this loads, which creates this swirl. When it plugs, I believe, it swirls the material there, and then essentially causes a current to flow this way and this way, which I believe to be generally north or east-west, east-west. So, like, this is really west, and then this is here, basically, with Greenland conjoined. So really west is more like that. I mean, if we connected it, maybe it turns a little bit, so it's maybe, if it's coming in at this angle, then maybe it's going out like that angle in this region. So like this is west, something more like this is west. Interesting, it just occurred to me, if we follow this width all the way across, look at where it takes us. Boom, Yellowstone, Bighorn Mountain. Here's Yellowstone. In the magnetic anomaly maps, Yellowstone is adjacent to Bighorn. This is Bighorn. Bighorn Mountain, Yellowstone, with a ring structure. Basically at this point right here, or right here maybe, I think it's right here actually, that has this section and then is next to here, but this is probably west. This is probably a good west path right here. Okay. So maybe, anyway, maybe this is caused in the process again. I mean, this is, after all, in the Siberian Traps region. Like, that, I didn't know what to make of it. I mean, I guess I can take their word for it that it's genuine. It could be more recent. That's a problem. That could be more recent, maybe, and it would be hard to tell for certain. I guess maybe it's established that this is not recent and is like a petroglyph.
I can't quite make out what that's supposed to look like there.
That looks like a lot of like water flowing in, drilling in. Those straight lines and then branching out. Not necessarily. Just not necessarily man-made. This one's much more like space, like the way it comes in angled like this, like that to me looks much more man-made. Much more man-made looking. The way it's angled here and here. Just a bunch of huge blocks. I mean, incredible stuff. Wow.
So many signs of toolings and do not look exactly like ancient walls.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. It could be shallogram-like looking, but it looks way more like a drill-looking appearance there. I mean, the thing is, if the Siberian traps went off, and these are on top, if this is on top of the Siberian traps, the only way that this is built by an ancient culture and then destroyed is that like the Earth's expansion process had like phases that were thousands of years across the whole span. And one of the phases, the Siberian traps, occurred around 252 million years ago, radiometric dating, which was maybe more early on in the process, like say 10,000 BC or something. Just going off of some dates I've heard for certain things, maybe in that time frame. And then maybe it like solidified, cooled, and the process ended enough for within a time of thousands, like 1,000 years or something, before the knowledge was lost and before the flood occurred, as someone came along and built these structures, and then the flood occurred and knocked them down. Because if they're on the Siberian traps, it's very hard for them to be on the Siberian traps without being built after we lost the knowledge or being man-made or being as crazy as it is geological nature. I mean, that's real strong evidence for man-made. I gotta be honest, like these things are incredible. Like as much as I would like to continue to say like there's a possibility that this is not man-made, some of these are pretty persuasive. I gotta give it to you guys. You got some. Whoa, that's crazy. What? If someone did that, that is epic. Whoa. I mean, it's possible that currents did that. It's possible that currents did that. It's possible currents did that. Definitely, that one I would say is not man-made. This when ones like this are, that's what I mean. When something like this is visible in the region, it makes it more likely that it's not man-made. Although, I don't know. That could just be currents. That could be currents. That could be currents. That's incredible. Is there more pictures of that?
And to call that anything other than an entranceway would be mad. That is almost certainly artificial. And
I mean, it looks like a house. If there's not like a inner chamber whatsoever, then it's a little odd. I don't know what to make of it. It sure looks man-made. I mean, of course it does. Holy shiza. But again, like capstones, they push down on stuff and hold it in place, and then when current passes, it could maybe like slice it apart at even places because the current is intense enough, and just shape it in like oddly surprising ways. I don't know. I mean, that looks man-made,
the
like
question
beyond
needs
a
to be
shadow of a
posed.
doubt. But like this, I would say that is like too much. Like they made a whole mountain structure, like a hill, I guess. I don't know what that would be called. I mean, it's crazy because the thing is, it's so narrow. It's anomalously narrow, and it's anomalously blocky. Like this. Why would they do that? They did that. Why are they doing this? That's a good question. Odds are they're not doing this, and currents are doing this. I mean, the thing is, it's possible. It's possible they literally did this by understanding how to do it with currents. Like they didn't fucking like, okay, Bill, back it in. Like they were like, oh, channeling like everyone Lincoln. Oh, I don't know what they did exactly. But they like formed a circle like Aes Sedai. Someone controlled the weaving of the pattern of the Sadar. Maybe they touched a Shaligram and it amplified their energies and they weaved a mountain. I don't know. It's possible. But like that, they want to form individually these blocks. That's what I'm getting at is like if they did this, if someone did this, they would not individually have formed this block having incrementally increasing this. Like that's much more geologically suggestive, I would say. Although then again, it does kind of just stop abruptly there and then seemingly start again and stop again. And this one, like the way this one is pretty odd. It doesn't quite fit the pattern. It almost looks like it's a connecting block or like a spacer or something. I don't know. To like prevent total bifurcation. I don't know if that word fits. Yeah, that's the one. That could be natural. I mean, it could be man-made too, but it could be natural, I would say. based on what I know of shallograms and like that ammonite I showed you earlier, maybe we could find some more even. Maybe this, the way this is. Way this is, maybe. Ammonite forming in lava. Lysin gang rings around a particle. These are geological and purely geological. Purely geological. Notably, they have sections smoothly cut in sections, fractioned. Here, maybe this, kind of the way this is happening from like a base material. Like maybe, that's all I'm saying is maybe things of that nature are going on. And it looks similar. Although, that door looking one. That one. That's incredible.
We can only guess as to their function these days, but we can easily conclude that they are not natural.
Yeah, dude.
And in the area, you can see the scattered remains here.
I mean, it really just looks like the buildings got demolished. Utterly demolished by like earthquakes in the Siberian traps time frame that just destroyed these things. They couldn't, even these things couldn't handle what was going on at the time. Maybe, I don't know.
What was once there?
I mean, there certainly is some shit going on nearby. Like if we look over here, here's the Siberian traps up in this region, or here. I'm not sure where in the Siberia. I believe they're here. I'm not sure exactly, but in terms of the exact boundary, like they're definitely around here. But in terms of the exact boundary, I'm not sure where these are all from though. Definitely just Siberia. It's fine. I'm just kind of curious, and maybe where they are might be relevant. But I mean, of course it is. But to like what I'm suggesting now is that like up here is a Nova Center. It's kind of got an ammonite type shape even. Somewhere I feel like I've seen it as an ammonite before. I guess spiraling this way and then having like a long here, but spiraling like that. And into here. Into a node here. But then, like, this was going on probably about the time of the Permian-Triassic boundary and relating to Siberian traps. That's my guess, which then was inducing currents flowing this way and this way through this region underneath the crust and inducing Siberian traps. So probably, like, some shit going on. So it's quite possible that if there's some like megalithic, huge structures formed, that they just got demolished. and just are piles of rubble, so it looks like a wall, but it's a wall surrounded by a pile of rubble, so it doesn't look, it's hard to tell that it was a wall. Like, that looks like a corner pretty good, I don't know.
Almost perfectly 90 degrees. Now, just to give you an idea of what the Siberian territories look like from there, if this does not look like the site of bombardment to you, then I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know why you're watching these videos, because this right here explains the level of destruction that we are seeing. We are seeing what was probably a well-developed area, a technologically advanced area that served as if not a naval
Whoa. Oh,
point of strategic interest, or some form of strategic interest, a capital that needed to be erased. Either that or the technological development involved in the structures that were situated here just needed to be completely.
that reminded me of this so much. That image.
Completely and utterly about to. Now, you will see this along nearly every single northern coast in the entire world, however, especially in Eurasia and Alaska. And it is everywhere, absolutely staggering the size of this destruction. It's a landscape that is completely foreign looking to me. It looks like an alien landscape, and I have no idea how geologists explain it. In fact, I do, I've looked it up, but the explanation is just completely and utterly inadequate for this literally obvious destruction.
Yeah.
And I will show you in 1 second. This is Alaska, and like I said, it carries over even to Alaska. However, in Alaska, it takes the shape of these bizarre perpendicular lines, which to me looks like a direction of attack.
That looks like class. I'll be back. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
How the hell geologists explain that these all took on the exact same shape, following the exact same direction? I mean, that they are almost parallel is beyond me. It gets even.
In Alaska, you're saying? Oh. Phew. These things, interestingly, very reminiscent of these things. This was a beam, like a beam of energy that went this way through Lake Titicaca, creating it, basically participating in the creation of, at least, and then continuing through and inducing similar structures. Wow. I never noticed these. Thanks, man. Phew. If we can find any with like indentations on one side suggestive of which direction the current was flowing. Like this. In, out. So it does suggest like whatever was going on here was actually flowing from the Siberian traps, which was closer at the time from over here. Well, maybe more so even, maybe even from here-ish. Oh my god. It's just like bubbling. It's just bubbling. It was literally boiling the earth. Something from all the heat. So maybe this ocean that was here went over here as well. Somewhat. Like to the locations where this was happening, maybe water was above. I don't know. So let's keep going.
Even made obvious here. Look at that. Every single one of them is travelling in the exact same direction. And if you zoom into the centre of some of them,
Let's check out Myron Cook. Snowball. I mean, that one, I guess. I'm not sure if that's where I was trying to find. Yeah. This is what it reminded me of. Bunch of class. Almost like inverse, where in this case the class is water, and so it formed a void in some way.
a better map service. If you look on Google Maps, I think you can see in the centre of them almost perfectly straight lines. Now these aerial images that I just shown you might go a wee bit away to explain how such giant megalithic
That's incredible.
structures were destroyed. Again, this is Mount Shaman in Siberia, and mainstream sources would tell you that this was a completely natural site that you're looking at. Again, this is
It sounded like he said that. It's literally Mount Shaman. Mount Shaman. What is that? What the? Guess let's check out Shaman Rock. Whoa. That's cool. Not the place, but okay. Yeah. Wow.
that one's a
Very reminiscent of Yanagumi.
wrong one. I got
Yanaguni.
folder. Mount Shoria this time in Siberia. And again, the size of this megalithic block is absolutely staggering. There is a reason that mainstream sources have to deny this, and again, if you took
Wow.
into account that Siberia was home of the greatest megalithic monuments that made the pyramids and Stonehenge pale in comparison, that's a rewriting of history right there. we see that same megalithic block we looked at earlier, and it is absolutely huge. These are
Oh my
the
god.
grottos that I was speaking about. We will see more of these over the rest of Siberia, but the size of these blocks is absolutely outstanding. If you compare some people next to it, you can see that they are sometimes standing 20-25 metres high.
That's incredible.
So the Peepsy Well this time, and these wells were again attributed to the Chud people. A lot of what's going on in Siberia has been attributed to the Chud people, by the locals at least. The Chud people and mainstream historians featured very rarely. They were the precursors to the Finns, I think mainstream historians say that they were the Chudski. But to look at the absolute geometric perfectness of that circle is outstanding. Now the Pipesy wells were actually the site of mines, so it's a mining site. This, what we are looking at here, is not a well. It was supposedly used in the enrichment of iron ore. Now, one of the wells, I think I've got a photo of it, one of the mines, sorry.
Iron ore. Oh, Viking. It's so Viking.
I think this is the entrance. Reached a depth of 130 metres underground, one of these mines. Now we can see the people that created these sites, these iron ore enrichment areas were clearly quite developed. This is the Pidan Mountain again. I think we spoke about this previously, but bare evidence is what we are looking at is just the remains of a giant megalithic wall. Again, some of the blocks here are absolutely staggering.
Oof. I mean, I've seen lines like that on geology, though.
The corner on that is a game changer as far as I'm concerned. The angles on that are only available when mankind has.
Let me find some. Oh, if we just look at Mount Grenard, again, that's why Mount Grenard is epic. It's just epic. Grenard rocks. Like here, for instance. Sharp, boop, like 90 degrees. Like this. Like if this rock was there, and someone took a picture and uploaded it adjacent to all these other pictures, I don't think people would, like, they would look at this and say man-made, but it's not. So that's the thing, I mean, it is in a way, but it's not. Like this. All natural. All natural. You can see the lines here, here, here. All natural. Epic. All natural, but that's got like straight up down type things going on. Also, the slope, reminiscent of the first video. Slope. I measured these angles in places. Some food. Not my food. I didn't eat that food. Don't ask me how the food was, because I don't know. It wasn't me. It's from, these are from these videos. I got their titles there. Sorry, I'm not. They're on YouTube. Title by title. Some more. Like, this looked like if this were to be in the, again, it would kind of have the same, like, could this be man-made? Like, could it be, you know? Are you ready? That one. That's just in the wall. That's not man-made either. In the rock, in the wall. It's just in the stone. Or like that. So yeah, like looking at this, like it does. Yes, I fully agree. It looks like a corner and it looks man-made, but it doesn't conclusively prove it to be. That's the thing. We need some hieroglyphs or whatever, something to read. I know that's there's maybe not
Just
hieroglyphs,
an
something
obvious
like
sight, really.
some kind of structure, like something to indicate more than just like buildings. Like they must have had other things. Was everything else just washed away? Like nothing is in any way discoverable? It might not have been searched enough. Who knows what could be found?
We don't need anybody to tell us what this is because it is very clearly a wall. A couple of doublers in here. Piran Mountain again. We are looking at absolutely perfectly perpendicular parallel lines. Yeah, absolutely parallel lines. Perpendicular.
Ooh, I like that next photo there.
And we'll see there. These markings
Oh,
along the edges of these.
and just to compare it, just to compare it to something. Like maybe these nodes kind of thing on a fractal nature or something of the right fractalness could be seen as having like regularly spaced nodes. I don't know.
Blocks again look completely artificial.
Incredible.
I'm assuming some form of object slotted in here. Some iron railings.
This one looks like it meshes with the like Legos with the other one.
And bar. Who knows?
Oh my god.
Popov Island.
Alright, dude.
No, this
You
is
got
the
me.
Salocatchia River.
You got me. You got me. Not like I was fighting it. I was honestly rooting for it. But I also really don't want to just conclude. Just triangular-ish, like a roundedness. It's almost like a useful pushing in and connections. So like,
Popov Island.
he just went right by it. That thing's incredible. Why would that be like that?
Now this is the Salokachia River, which is a fairly small river in Russia, but it is the site of quite a few megalithic objects, and the site of blocks such as these. Now, the people that took this photo, actually the researchers that took this photo went inside and found that that inside area in here was perfectly flat. You can see the angle of the edge here. From here to the other side was absolutely perfectly polished flat. And it was the inside of this object here.
It can happen geologically. The way these are. Like there. Like this is geological, isn't that interesting? Straight. That could be geological for sure, although this is interesting. Whoa.
What was also there, and even locals speak of this, is this iron pin that's embedded in the side of this object, which
That's the thing I was looking for. Some kind of like human. Okay, now we got signs of humans. And this stuff that is seemingly signs of humans. Whoa.
so there, and even locals speak of this as this iron pin that's embedded in the side of this object, which appears to be resistant to rust. Completely resistant to rust, and you can tell it's not rusted because the rock has no oxidation on it. So it's another alloy that we do not have today, which is completely and utterly impervious to any form of rust. The Seven Brothers, this looks like the Devil's Hill Fort that we've seen earlier, but this is a separate site. This is 30 kilometres away, and I believe what we are looking at is just the other side of the wall, because as you can see it looks almost exactly the same.
Oh
I
my god.
don't know how any geologist can look at you with a straight face and tell you that this is a natural site. This raises it.
It got eroded, that's for sure. Whatever's going on here was eroded to shit. So that's crazy. Like, if it is a man-made wall, then it was so well made that it eroded away before it got knocked down. That's incredible.
And completely out of the blue, it has a flat slope of grass at either side, and then just this massive megalithic wall. And that's the $7. Now, I think I have this one labelled in another photo, but this is another one of these grottos that we see. And if you look at the size of that block on top, we will see it in another photo. It's in the excess of 20 tons, so how they raised that on top of that was beyond me. Southern Urals again, there's that wall that we seen earlier.
Is this inside? Let's see, this rock, some kind of thing going on like that. It could have been.
20 tons. So how they raised that on top of that was beyond me.
Yeah, that's a building. It's got a roof even. Oh my god.
So this is Ergaki. Now this is what is called the Stone City. Again, we see the remains of a giant wall with these stone slabs that are laid on top of each other. However, this one looks a bit more melted or weathered than the others. Indeed, it is complete with scorch marks. What I thought was interesting here, and we have seen it in a couple of other areas, is these completely smooth pitted bits that are removed. And again, I don't know if you can see it in here, the ridges are lined with them. Now, is it possible that an ancient people were able to build with blocks of this size? And if they were, how developed was this area that the ruins would lead to this amount of blocks? If you can see in the background that block there, I mean we are talking about a completely artificial area. There are the pitted objects again. How you would explain that from natural geology, I do not know.
Really deep floodwaters. That one can make sense. Really intense currents drilling, but with pressures from all directions. So it was basically like held together by the drilling. Like it wasn't just pushed. Like it had a counter pressure too. So it was drilling into the counter pressure to like actually succeed. Kind of like if you took a screwdriver and you put it into something that didn't have a counter pressure, you need to have like a counter pressure to get the screw to go in. Same thing.
There are the pitted objects again. How you would explain that from natural geology, I do not.
Just enough current. I mean, here's a good example. Do I have a picture? Easily accessible picture. Let's see. Here it is, these guys. Okay, these guys. We're making progress. I took a picture somewhere. It's probably on my tweets, not over here. That's very, very concerning, dudes. This is concerning. Okay. What are we looking for? Uh, well, that's what happens when shit happens, you know? Here we go. Boom. Worth the scroll. I almost gave up. Here we go. See little nubs where certainly in these instances water was drilling in. This one I took a picture of because that was basically a drilling that then swept out to the side. Like it wasn't just like this one centered. It would start to swirl out like an ammonite. But then, like, they're clearly, these aren't man-made like that. So coming back to here, like that basically could be a similar process that just kind of drilled into it, literally.
Mainstream sources that this was artificial.
What was that?
You can see that's that.
That's crazy. It's so smooth. And then, like, the outer boundary erodes at certain points, I guess. And then what's underneath it is able to be gotten to more easily once these like paths erode, seems.
As is that. As is that. And the angles on this looks like an intersection. But we would be led to believe by mainstream sources that this was artificial. Despite what looks to me like
I don't know what to make of that last one. It's quite the little What is going on? It almost needs more context to the surroundings and different video. I wonder if there's good video of people in these places.
But we would be led to believe by mainstream sources.
Look at this. That looks like currents. Like carving.
Ergaki stone city again. Just to give you an idea of how this might have.
Imagine that's literally a block with a supportive block and another supportive block, and this one just eroded almost completely away, and then this one just gouged through by these.
Been the ruins and ancient structure. There would be the window. We see what looks like giant megalithic walls all over the Siberian territory, but every single one of them has been given a natural explanation. Because when you have a megalithic wall that makes the Great Wall of China look absolutely minuscule in comparison, that's what you do, you cover up the history. Still Stone City Argaki. And again, look at the angles between these giant vast walls.
A megalithic wall of the scale of the Great Wall. I don't know how much area this is covering, but that's incredible. Weird.
This is on the River Isset, the Stone Gate River.
Whoa.
And you can see the size of this object here. There's some people, so that is maybe 30-40 metres. However, the angle on the inside there is almost perfectly right angled again, but we can only ponder as to how it ended up toppled on its side like this.
Huh?
Here it is across the river.
Oh my god, how cool is that?
And this is scenery that we do not see anywhere else in the world. Exclusively in Siberia. An area with barely 1,000 years of history according to mainstream sources. This is Lake Shartash again. Like I said, the entirety of Siberia is covered.
I mean, this is incredible. What? Even if it's natural, it's incredible.
Exclusively in Siberia. People from the 19th century. However, and you can almost see with these steps here how there have been a set of older steps in the area. They have just been replaced by these more modern ones. And then you get to the wall. And again, with every single one of these walls, there is massive megalithic blocks at the bottom that looks like they've just toppled in from above. Whenever whatever happened that destroyed all of this, these rocks toppled in. This is found in the Taimyr Peninsula, and we see what looks like the remains of two massive obelisks or pillars, and these obelisks are built up with giant blocks, tens of tons, 20 tons.
They look kind of like crystals. They kind of look like crystals. Some like more earthy type crystal though.
Taimyr Peninsula and have a look for yourself.
I know crystals are earthy, but you know what I'm saying.
On Google Maps, you will see this area. I would have to make a separate video just for the Taimyr Peninsula. It is absolutely chock full of places like that. Now this is Terikol. Now this one they had no way explaining as anything other than the remains of a fortress. Now this is a lake in the southern Siberia, South Siberia, and it is what historians are claiming was the remains of an Uyghur settlement, or Urugir, however you say it. Some of the walls today still reach 8 metres in height. Now the fortress itself on the Terikol lake is called the Porbazin Fortress. And this is even claimed by mainstream historians to have been the site of an ancient reservoir. This lake here is mainstream historians claim that this itself is artificial, as there is a dark stripe that runs along the edge of the lake, and you can see on radar, and it is almost perfectly flat and perfectly straight. But on the island itself, this Port Bajin fortress, this stone fortress that was apparently built by a people that didn't dwell in the area for any length of time at all. Now, another one of these legends that claim people escape.
Where's the stone fortress? Hey. Does this look like the walls? Like this angle, practically. Kind of like when the windows turned, but like on the side, laying on the ground, but like along. I mean, it's not quite the same, but I'm seeing similarities enough to just kind of keep it in mind. Again, that there is some degree of geological evidence to suggest that possibly this kind of thing could just happen naturally. Like, I don't think they were doing this. But this has a lot of the similar shapes. Not to that, but
Tunnels, the Urgiros apparent outside, which were reminiscent of what we've seen previously.
okay.
The same megalith park. But look at the size of that obelisk there. It appears these
person's tiny.
ancient people built on a scale that is not often. And then huge blocks, tens of 20s of tons, laid absolutely. Again, the Holy Siberia.
That's gotta be Easter Island.
Precisely on top of each other. And this, still the eyes at Megalith Park, but again, the Holy Siberia is covered in these sites. This video could easily have been.
What the fuck, dude? That's Siberia? That looks like Easter Island. Like some.
The Holy Siberia is covered in these.
Like, I know it doesn't quite look like a Moai statue, but it kind of resembles
these sites. This video could easily have been 40, 50. It could have been an hour and a half long, because we find sites such as Vera Island, again Chelyabinsk. How many of these have been in Chelyabinsk? These grottos, obviously artificial, but how they laid this slab on top that weighs tens of tons without any tools, without any lifting machinery. Mainstream historians have no choice but to ignore it. Now, does the inside of this structure look like the inside of this artificial structure? No look strikingly similar to what mainstream historians are calling natural structures that we've just been looking at. Also on Vera Island, what no look strikingly similar to
That's a good point.
the counterpart on the.
There's some more of those teeth things.
I believe
Again, there.
that's probably how they've split this rock. V-shaped megaliths. Now the that is clearly the Markia tool. Now, the tool that created that must have been absolutely huge, because that line is perfectly straight, that is at least an inch thick, and it goes deep. Yet mainstream sources didn't use any explanation for the technology such as this. They literally have zero explanation for that. That is clearly not the result of artificial processes. So what was it? And if the people that had the technology to do this, they didn't just do this one singular object, what else did they build? The people that cut rocks like this, it's beam walls on the scale of this. The Zalozherne Ridge, again in the northern Urals this time. But this is what they built. They built these absolutely giant megalithic structures. And again, a lot of these areas, at one point when the Soviet Union was in power, they were actively researched. The true history might not have came out, but they were at the site archaeological digs, and what we do find from them is items such as these, and these are crystals. Both of these objects are crystals, and again these objects themselves are crystals, and the explanation we have for these engravings, because of how precise they are, mainstream sources tell us that they resemble the marks of laser etching. And this is just some of thousands of objects that have been found in Siberia. However, the history of Siberia does not match what we are seeing there today. Now, this was just a quick video. I'll have plenty more videos on Siberia in the future, but I just wanted to get these megalithic ruins in.
Crazy, right? Wow. So there's that place. There's, well, all those, Russia in general, Siberia, Montana. And then I found another channel. Earth Unknown, this channel. This is where I saw this. So this is not the right one. I want this one. Megalithic Structures, Canada. So there's a news article where they were literally digging like tens of feet down. Found some sort of concrete block. Had to stop the dig. And then
and maybe this happened all across northern Canada. And
pyramid. Then he shows some places around. Maybe this one. Yeah, this one. Where is this?
place here in Kootenay Lake, British Columbia, and this place here in Kootenay Lake, British
Kootenay Lake. Curtin Lake.
Columbia reminds me of the site I covered in my previous video on El Caracol, the giant.
Whoa. Whoa. Any other, but as the summer sun grows hotter and the sun's rays beat down on the lake, water evaporates and lowers the surface level. Giant circles, which had been invisible, lying just below the surface, reveal themselves in gorgeous hues of yellow, blue, and green. Spotted Lake has no river or creek to drain it and receives all of its water as runoff. Interesting. Not finding that structure though. That maybe if I go like this, go like this, go like this, go like this. Go like that, go like that, go like that. Walla Walla, Washington. Captured accidentally by a drone. Vancouver. What is this doing all the way out in Vancouver? Oh, that's just their name. Where? There must be. Eye of Neldor, Nelson. Eye of Neldor, Nelson Mines. No. This picture is being touted online. Well, guess what? Nope, not an ancient petroglyph to be found on it or in Vancouver. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, dude, that was a created. That shit didn't even exist until after the Earth expanded. How the fuck? What are you talking about? Cool. Let's just see where this is. Okay, at least it's over here, like near the Rockies. Not like over here. Over here over here is more reasonable for there to at least be some possibility. But still, it's British Columbia. I don't know, man. That didn't. Red alarm when I see British Columbia. It's probably just some hippie shit. I grew up there. It's probably just some hippie shit. Yeah, you know. Some fucking hippies again. Some hippie makes a rock formation when the water level is low. The best Reddit it comes up with is ancient civilization 10,000 years ago. there were a mecca for hippies, it would be Nelson. Oh, good to know. Okay, so that one is not. That one's not genuine. Maybe more than likely. Maybe that one is real, but it kind of goes back to the same.
I wonder what else could.
This looks more in line with the other stuff that we're seeing, though. Like all these look more in line with the rest of it. Like, oh, that looks kind of like a road, like or something. I could see that being a road, although at the same time, I could see it kind of needs more data. Like it kind of looks like it, but like for it to be at the top of a hill doesn't really make sense unless like the fact that there was a road just held material underneath it again and kind of made it so that when currents flowed over top it, it like etched around more so. But like, I don't know. That'd be crazy if the road built like a elevated terrain around it, which happens like if we go to Myron Cook again. He's got so many good videos. If we go to Myron Cook's videos and find the one with the ancient riverbeds, learn to identify rivers. These ones, these were riverbeds, the top of this, and then everything else eroded, leaving behind the, like here, it actually fully eroded, but here it's supported, like the rigid, dense riverbed compacted material that laid atop the more loose material formed like a hard thing to sit on top, so so that the things underneath couldn't move out like they unless they like carved into and got under this slab, which happened but not as much as right here. Okay, so like maybe something like that could actually happen if man made a road and then the earth expanded and blah 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 blah.
And you can go check it. And the places I talked.
Square, like that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. I don't know where this is. Let's see if we can find him where he's looking. Lake Winnipeg. Yep, okay. Let's keep going. Lake Winnipeg.
His channel, but I just thought
Down here. I believe it was there.
I would share it again because it's so cool and interesting looking. It's located on an island.
Whoa. That's gotta be more recent man-made. For us to not be like, what the fuck is this? Like that, like, how could we not have looked at this and been like, oh, dudes? Although maybe, I don't know. Can we, where are we? How do I like put a pin? Grassy Narrows Marsh. No, it's marshes. I mean, that's pretty crazy right here. And then it kind of fades away, and then seemingly maybe comes back over here and then fades away. Like, these look like they were purposely built by man along the road, so like that almost suggests that everything is. I mean, like the fact this road's right up adjacent to this, like they clearly know whatever is going on here. Let's see. Hecla Grindstone Provincial Park.
Island in a provincial park on Lake Winnipeg in Manitoba. And it's this huge site in a swamp just off the highway with all these shapes and patterns that appear to be sticking up out of the swamp. And these things that remind me of a bike chain or something, making me wonder if this could be the remains of some sort of massive machine. But whatever it is, it's certainly an interesting looking area.
Shoot, dude. City made like a machine.
Difficult to go there and take a closer look to better understand what this place is all about.
These little dots are really odd. They make me think of shalograms. Like sometimes they'll be like dots like between the teeth. Like especially when they're like randomly like this. The ones that I'm thinking of, I can't think of any in the normal ones like this where there's like dots at the teeth. But there's some for sure. It happens. If I can find a good example. Need a subtle one. Oh. There's so many, I know. I wasn't thinking that. Well, fine. Freaking forgot what I'm looking for. Alright. This one. I think this is the one. It's got these coming off here. Off of the thingamajigs, but then it's got here one, here one. It's not a particle looking dot, but some of them are in other instances. Whoa. That looks like a mini shallogram right on the boundary of this. No, there's a better one. This is it. No, maybe not. That might be it, but not that angle. No. Nope. This is it. Right there. I mean, given the amount that I looked through, it could be happenstance, but I feel like there's a tendency for these to like produce nodes in relationship to them. Not all the time, but enough to be noticeable. Just in my experience looking at shallograms. So that kind of makes me think of these. Like, how do they not know about this? There's no way they don't know about this, right?
An old me same. So here's just a couple more screenshots I took on the other side of this same lake. And it looks to me like an old stone wall or foundation or something.
How cool is that? Whoa, it gets so narrow. Whoa, it's so narrow. No, I'd say probably not. It's probably he's probably just not able to find information on what the hell is going on here. It just looks really weird. I agree. I don't know what the hell to make of it, but I want to just. I mean, it does look like it could have been. Maybe it's like a footprint that got swept away and left behind its footprint remnants enough to be visible in the marsh. I don't know. Like, how big is this? This is only like 150 feet, 60, let's say 60 meters. That's what this says down here, sure. Like 60 meters. These are maybe 10 meters, so they're kind of like house plot sized in like a hexagonal grid. Well, hexagonal connections of the grid. I don't know. So let's go, let's kind of zoom out here. Before, he also talks about Nova Scotia. There's some in Nova Scotia that are suggestive of maybe being related, like to basically the same types of things, like this kind of thing going on. I forget what exactly was from Nova Scotia in this video, if it even was. I think it was here, this stuff. I think it was this stuff is Nova Scotia back here. Like that. Western Quebec. Okay, maybe not. So basically, around Canada, Montana, Siberia, Europe. Here's Atlantis, Nova Scotia, Montana, the Sage Mountain one over here somewhere. And then like Saskatchewan, I think, has some stuff I saw. Ontario, Quebec region. This region, maybe, although that one didn't seem. Generally, though, my thoughts are like Atlantis was a continent, and then also over here. So here, over here. Like maybe the reign of Atlantis, if you will, the region that it occupied was like stretched from like here to here, which then connected over to here. So then they also were generally over here. But then also this connected over here, so they were right over here as well. So they were like through this whole region here, over here, and around here kind of thing. And maybe also into here some, like into here. And then around to there, maybe. Is this like really similar building structure that's not like Egyptian pyramids though? It's different. It's different, but it's the same. Like it's megaliths seemingly. It's seemingly from the same time frame, probably, just from what I believe, I guess. So like it's almost like it was Atlantis, and that's why I was somewhere in one of these videos. Julie Ryder mentioned, I believe, a specific region here was an island, and Atlantis was said to be large, but also composed of many islands, I believe. So like that there's an island over here that has megaliths, and then an island here, Sunk Island, and then some other megaliths around, and all of them the same. I would say we might have just been spending this video possibly looking at actual structures from Atlantis. Uh, if they're man-made, they're Atlantean. That's what I say. That's what I say. Okay, so whether or not they're man-made, I don't know. It's pretty hard to tell, which is cool, and comes back to the, well, that they're like that iron um peg or whatever in the rock. I mean, it's hard to say because they didn't have a picture away and then zooming in, and like I oh, maybe I can find it. What's a word for that? Where is this? Iron. What is that? Loop? Iron fastener? Something. What is that freaking term? Popular articles have reported the scientific proposed to be a result of geological processes associated with the intense weathering of the rock composing Mount Shoria. Both tectonic forces acting on deeply buried and pressure release. Pressure release occurs within near surface bedrock as it is uplifted and eroded, commonly form rectangular block-like rock formations that consist of jointed rock. Quite common for spheroidal weathering, a form of chemical weathering, to occur as groundwater circulates through orthogonal joint sets in the near surface. Okay, I mean, Okay, so I guess I'll stop there. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Hope this helps bring some attention to these interesting sites uh, and others that are probably out there. So, cool. Till next time. Peace out.